It hit right through the middle of the island, right through the middle of Puerto Rico. There's never been anything like that. I give ourselves a 10.
Okay, a lot to get to this hour. Joining us, CNN political commentators Dave Jacobson and John Thomas. Also joining us, Professor of Political Science Peter Mathews. Okay, this was quite the day of contrasts. Let's start with John Kelly, the White House Chief of Staff. Dave, he's a former general. His son was killed in action, and he is out there defending a president who avoided the draft because of bone spurs. And he's in the middle of a nasty feud with the grieving family of a fallen soldier. But at the same time, we now know that when Donald Trump made this statement...
Didn't say what that congresswoman said. Didn't say it at all. She knows it. And she now is not saying it. I did not say what she said.
It was blatantly wrong, or a lie. And despite what General Kelly had said just a few hours ago, Donald Trump tweeted this out just moments ago. The fake news is going crazy with wacky Congresswoman Wilson, who was secretly on a very personal call and gave a total lie on content. But she didn't, because General Kelly came to the defense to clarify what she had said the president had. Explain it.
Hard to explain. This is emblematic of the schizophrenic nature that is our president, unfortunately. But let's not forget, the whole reason we're having this conversation is because Donald Trump politicized the issue. This is something that's supposed to be a solemn service that the president Well, I think it is.
Politicized
No. It starts with Donald Trump creating this political firestorm because he excoriated President Obama over something that he thought he didn't do, which he did, which President Obama called fallen service members.
That a congresswoman who wouldn't even attend the inauguration saw as a political point to dance on the back of a fallen soldier. That's what's happening. Should Trump have lied about what he said? Absolutely not. I have no idea why he did that. But it was initiated by a Democratic congresswoman looking to score some political points on a dead soldier.
Why can't the president just say, hey, I didn't mean that. I chose my words badly. Clearly, that was not the intention. I apologize for this grieving widow who is already going through so much right now. Done.
I think it's because President Trump doesn't apologize. That's the problem. And he says things like, I've reached out to all the fallen soldiers. According to Axios from earlier today, there's been about 43 fallen soldiers since Donald Trump has been president, 9 of which haven't received any communication from Donald Trump. But he goes out there and he says that he's reached out to all of them. So he's totally disingenuous, but more than that, he lies.
General Kelly also had some strong words for Congresswoman Frederica Wilson, especially about the part that she was actually listening in to this phone call.
It stuns me that a member of Congress would have listened in on that conversation. Absolutely stuns me. And I thought at least that was sacred.
John, the Congresswoman, is a close family friend, has been for years. And also, John Kelly was listening in on the phone call as well. Hypocrisy?
I think it's different having your chief of staff of a politician listening and who's making the call. Look, I think his point was, he even said early on that he counseled President Trump not to make any of these calls because the only person that a grieving widow wants to hear from is somebody that their spouse served with in the military. So I think his point was, there's no need to politicize it, and having another elected official eavesdropping on the line
She wasn't eavesdropping. She was invited there by the family in the car.
Well, he's saying he felt it was inappropriate.
Okay.
I guess for me, this whole thing stems from Donald Trump opening up this can of worms. We saw a report today that Donald Trump had promised the family of one of the fallen soldiers a check for $25,000, and then they never received it. But then the White House just yesterday issued a statement saying that they sent out a check.
Not saying when. In the Washington Post.
Right, exactly.
It was hours after the
story.
But
the fact is, none of this would have been part of the conversation had Donald Trump not lied about Barack Obama.
It's a personal check.
$25,000.
Peter, just to bring you on this, John Kelly has this reputation of being almost above politics. He's serving this administration for the good of the nation. Does this full-throated defense of the president and what he's been saying about the Congresswoman, does that change his standing now? Has he now become political?
Unfortunately, I think that it could very well be seen that way by at least half the nation, or maybe more, that Kelly was supposed to be this person, and he was, in many ways he still is, above the fray, a man of integrity, tell the truth, took sides on a political issue, on a politicized issue, and he actually took one side over the other. I think President Trump was, it's very controversial what he did and what he said about the Congresswoman and to the mother of the fallen soldier. I mean, the way he said it didn't come across very well, and Kelly's defending it. So I think it was not a very good move on the part of the general. But he was trying to salvage his president, in a sense.
Okay, also on this day, Peter, not one but two former presidents back in the political spotlight, delivering a very stinging rebuke to the current occupant of the White House. Is this unprecedented?
I think it really is, and I think it was very remarkable, President Bush's speech. You know, I didn't agree on a lot of Bush's policies, but this time President Bush had to be admired in what he said about the character of America as being a nation built on ideas, not a nation of bloodline, not of blood and soil. And he repudiated any kind of white supremacy or anything like that. And President Bush took a firm stand against it and implicated President Trump for not doing it. So it's quite a contrast. President Obama also spoke out against what President Trump has been doing and saying or implying that he condones some of these things. And I think it was very unprecedented that two recent presidents, former presidents, would actually say these about a current president. But I think both of them see how important it is that they speak out fully at this time.
Yeah, and Dave, it really was President Bush who sort of stole the spotlight today, because he's been out of the spotlight for so long. Who's fans of the George W. Bush fan club now? I mean, he's got all these new recruits who've signed up over the last couple of hours. You know, he had this stinging criticism of the current president. This is what he said.
We've seen our discourse degraded by casual cruelty. At times, it can seem like the forces pulling us apart are stronger than the forces binding us together. Argument turns too easily into animosity. Disagreement escalates into dehumanization. We've seen nationalism distorted into nativism.
Actually, John, I want to ask you this. You know, George W. Bush stayed out of it when Donald Trump viciously attacked his brother Jeb during the primaries campaign, when Donald Trump attacked George W. Bush's administration, calling him the worst president ever. He did not say a word. He has made it a point not to criticize the current commander-in-chief, one president at a time. Obama, even. Yeah, absolutely. So why now? What was the tipping point that made George W. Bush go on that stage and basically deliver this attack, not mentioning Donald Trump by name, but saying...
Well, he was at a summit. He had to give a keynote, right? There were a lot of condoleezza. So but I'm saying, no, he was giving a speech. Obviously, I think he meant it. I'm not saying that he didn't. Look, Peter said a good point that, we don't rely upon bloodlines. Well, the Bush family is pretty blue blood. I think it's in a sense, he doesn't obviously like the state of our politics at all, and not just President Trump. He doesn't like it when a Democratic congresswoman exploits a fallen soldier for political gain. I just don't think he likes where we are on any side. He wanted to say his piece about it, and it's his right to do it. Look, Jeb Bush got smoked largely because of the Bush legacy. I think the Republican primary is hoping that the Bushes, just like Democrats hope the Clintons, will disappear.
But Dave, okay, you take John's explanation, on the one hand, but it does seem that there has been a level of toxicity or a level of unhappiness within George W. Bush about how things are going, and then finally, he's let it all out.
I thought it was a remarkable and frankly unprecedented 1-2 punch where you have two former presidents of the United States excoriating the current commander-in-chief, but both former presidents were from differing political parties. But I think this is really significant in the sense because it's not just George W. Bush. It's John McCain earlier this week. It was Bob Corker the week before. It was Jeff Flake, the Republican senator from Arizona, who wrote a book on this a couple weeks ago. You're seeing Republican and Republican and Republican come out one by one attacking the current commander-in-chief. And I think really what it is it's a splintering of the Republican Party away from Donald Trump. There's the party of Donald Trump, and then there's the GOP.
I think you're seeing not a splintering. You're seeing the establishment having enough of it and deciding to speak out against Donald Trump because he's not part of their group and he doesn't behave like them either.
I want to ask Peter this because we've seen John McCain, George W. Bush, earlier it was Mitt Romney, the 2012 Republican nominee for president, all speaking out in defense of, if you like, old school Republican values. I'm just curious, are they trying to reclaim the party, or is this, basically the GOP obituary?
I don't really see it that way. I see it as nonpartisan because people from both sides have been speaking out about this president being quite a danger in some ways in what he's been saying and doing, not just in foreign policy and the nuclear crisis with North Korea, but so many things when he condoned and equivocated on white supremacy at Charlottesville, for example. He's done so many things that put us in a predicament as a nation that's very concerning to a lot of our leaders and former leaders who are not just talking about being establishment, saving the establishment, they're talking about saving the United States of America and our heart and soul as a nation. And I thought it was brilliant how President Bush defined the United States, as I have before, as a nation of ideas, unlike other countries that actually do look towards soil and blood and race and ethnicity. We don't do that. We believe that all people are created equal, as Jefferson said, and that we have to respect everyone with dignity. And I think the presidents of both parties and other leaders like McCain have seen that this has not been the modus operandi of this president, and they're very concerned about it.
Okay, you mentioned the reference that George W. Bush made to white nationalism. Let's listen to what he actually said.
Our identity as a nation, unlike many other nations, is not determined by geography or ethnicity, by soil or blood. We become the heirs of Martin Luther King Jr. by recognizing one another not by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. This means that people of every race, religion, ethnicity can be fully and equally American. It means that bigotry or white supremacy in any form is blasphemy against the American creed.
So, John, that's how it's done. I mean, you know, there's no like blame on both sides. You have very fine people out there as well. Why can't the current president do that? I mean,
well, he had a good speechwriter. I mean, there's
he drafted it himself. Apparently,
well,
he had a couple of aides helping him, but he drafted it.
I, unlike my Democrats, think George Bush is a smart guy.
Democrats these days are wishing George Bush was...
But every president owes Donald Trump a debt of gratitude right now because
by comparison, yes. I suppose. But no, I mean, but the issue is Trump did say something like that. He just didn't say it the first go around after Charlottesville. And it would be nice. Look, I'd love it if he behaved more in that kind of measured tone. But he isn't. And the voters understood that, though, when they put him into office. Our elected officials, believe it or not, are a reflection of us.
Yeah, but
we put him into office.
Stick with his original message. He equated white supremacists to protesters. I mean, that's what he did at the end of the day. And he hasn't apologized for it. As of today, still.
Well, President Obama, who was at a rally in Virginia a couple of hours ago, campaigning for the lieutenant governor there, and again speaking out against the current state of politics in the U.S.
Instead of looking for ways to work together and get things done in a practical way, we've got folks who are deliberately trying to make folks angry, to demonize people who have different ideas, to get the base all riled up.
You know, Dave, what I noticed about both President Bush and President Obama is that they're not talking about the news of the day. They're not commenting about what's happening in the 24-hour news cycle. They're talking about the much bigger issues which the United States is facing.
Yeah, it's a bird's-eye view of how America is dealing with and grappling with this president and what he's doing to our country. But if you look at Donald Trump and the way he embraces politics, it's really identity politics. He is playing towards his base, and it's that, slice of the electorate that's angry, that's frustrated, that's largely not on the coast, that's in the middle, that feels dismayed, they feel like their jobs are being shipped overseas. And he's communicating to that 37% that is still approving of his presidency. The fact is, when you've got a George W. Bush presidency or a Barack Obama presidency, folks on both sides perhaps don't necessarily agree with their policies, but they do agree that, we need something that's going to move forward in terms of the common good. And I think those two presidents, the way their worldview was, look, I've got to be a unifier, regardless of whether you're on the blue team or the red team. And we're just not getting that from the president.
Big issues, big concepts. Meanwhile, back at the Oval Office,
it was probably the most difficult when you talk about relief, when you talk about search, when you talk about all of the different levels, and even when you talk about lives saved, you look at the number. I mean, I think it was worse than Katrina. It was, in many ways, worse than anything people have ever seen.
President Trump there, Peter, basking in his own praise of the response to Hurricane Maria. But, Donald Trump does not deal well with criticism. Do you think he will lash out at either Presidents Bush or Obama? And if he does, will there be consequences?
Absolutely, there'll be consequences, because these are two men who are still admired by various people in the country, and they rightly so. And he was lashing out at Puerto Rico, the victims of this hurricane. The fact is that he blamed them for not taking care of their infrastructure. Well, Puerto Rico was put into debt because the United States Congress passed a bill giving tax-free income to corporations to go to Puerto Rico and make profits off low labor, or cheap labor there. And then in the end, those corporations left Puerto Rico when the tax break was taken away. So Puerto Rico is not to blame for this, and yet Trump was going after them. And I think that President Bush and President Obama, in criticizing President Trump, are right in doing so, and he will lash back, I've got a feeling. He doesn't take things lightly, and he may do it more subtly this time because they are two former presidents, but he may not. He may go full force forward in a Trumpian way. We'll see.
We await the 3:30 a.m. tweet from the White House. Peter, thank you for being with us. Also, Dave and John, thanks so much.
My pleasure.